Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another live stream, and thank you so much for tuning in to another show. Before I begin, I must apologize for the slight delay. We had a bit of a glitch that we had to deal with. I saw the comments. Don't worry, I'm here. And welcome to another live stream, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a lot to talk about tonight. The Israelis are saying something, almost admitting that the Americans are doing it on their behalf now, with Israeli reports confirming that Donald Trump is actually interested in changing the regime in Iran. But Iran is taking it seriously. It's not like Iran is playing around now. They're taking it seriously to a level where they're saying any shot fired will be already considered an all-out war. What are the latest moves on the ground? What are the preparations? Where are things headed to? These are so many questions that so many people want answers for, and that's why we're here on a regular basis to try and unravel as much as possible so that people can understand the motives behind this and where things are going to. Now, before we get into all of the details, if you haven't subscribed already, please do join NewsV Pro, our recently launched platform. NewsV Pro is an uncensored AI news and current affairs platform that brings you all of the trending current affairs and analyzes them with an uncensored AI and gives you a full breakdown so that you get nothing but the truth. No propaganda, no lies on any platform. Mainstream media, alternative media, social media, nothing. And we have multiple subjects on the platform, anything from Palestine to Russia to the United States, China, tech, healthcare, economic policy, immigration, all of the details that you would be interested in. Alongside all of that, we have an AI-generated podcast that is fully personalized, where you can choose all of the details, all of the information, all of the articles that you would like to listen about, and choose how long you want it to be. Can it get any better than this, ladies and gentlemen? And we have a video verification too. So in case you haven't subscribed yet, do go to newsvpro.com and subscribe. Now, moving back to the latest topics. What's happening exactly? Well, I'll tell you what's happening. It's only a matter of Israel confirming and confessing tomorrow that we're going to send the entirety of the United States of America to go and fight on our behalf. And I'll tell you why. Listen to this report here in the Israeli Broadcasting Authority. Israel believes Trump is considering a move to change the regime in Iran. They're not confessing, right? So you might think, okay, well, why are you showing us this article? It's because this is revealing what Israel is ordering the United States to do. Know what Israel is believing. Know what Israel hopes. That's what Israel is ordering Donald Trump to do. What do we have here? What kind of a situation we have here? Let's remember the pattern. What happened? Donald Trump came in as a president. What did he used to say when he came in as a president, in this term at least? If we have a deal with Iran, fine. Even if we don't have a deal with Iran, I guess that's fine too. Go and look it up. Go and look at all of the details that Donald Trump used to say about Iran. All of a sudden, leaks about the Epstein files. Trump, oh yeah, more aggressive tone. Firstly, he began with nuclear. All of a sudden, he's asking for changes in their missile capabilities and strategic missiles and removing all of the enriched uranium, pretending to talk at the same time. Israel attacks, he endorses the attack. As a matter of fact, he attacks with them too. And I'm going to tell you as well later on, what can Iran do to deport every Israeli within the first 24 hours? And what they can do now to shut Donald Trump's mouth. We haven't even begun yet. There are a lot of options on the table. What happened now before this new wave It's not just new wave backed by moves, as in they're moving on the ground. They're doing everything. Epstein files. Epstein files. Well, how is that connected to Trump? Well, Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. What are they saying exactly? Well, if you don't go, if you don't obey, we will release the files. Who will release the files? The FBI? No, it's not the FBI. Israel controls these institutions. They are tied with the Zionists. They are ordered by them. Israel has the OG, the original copies of the Epstein files, and they will release them whenever they want. That's why Trump is going to attack Iran for the sake of Israel, potentially killing many Americans in the process too. And maybe, just maybe, it will be the final battle that the United States will have in the region, and probably the final battle that Israel will see throughout its past history. It's going to be a has-been later on. Okay, that's the first thing. Israel, the context, why, who are they fighting for? What did Iran do? Mainstream media constantly tells us about evil regimes and the axis of evil. Who? Iran, China, North Korea. Can you give me examples of how many countries they occupied and how many people they killed abroad in the past century? Can you remind me who landed nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, who occupied and went across the oceans to Vietnam, who went to Iraq and Afghanistan, who went to Latin America, who's going now to Latin America and all across the whole world, who colonized the world? Who? Tell me. Was it Iran? Was it North Korea? Or was it the same people who are complaining about them? But they brainwash you. They brainwash you to a level where you believe that these people are the baddies. These people are the evil people. Okay. It's about Israel. It's about Israel, and he's spending taxpayers' money. Do you know how much it costs to operate an aircraft carrier? Go look it up. Go look it up and how much it costs to have an aircraft carrier working. And you'll see exactly what we're talking about. And all of that is the taxpayers' money. It's no one else. Okay, there was something very relevant coming today. Donald Trump is again threatening, massive armada is heading to Iran. It's moving quickly, great power, enthusiasm, and purpose. It is a large fleet headed by the great aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln, sent to Venezuela. Like Venezuela, it's ready, willing, okay, rapidly, with speed and violence if necessary. Hopefully Iran will come quickly to the table and negotiate a fair deal, and hopefully they can come to the table and we will destroy you and. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Donald Trump. Is Iran talking to them? Is someone talking? These are the statements that came from the foreign minister of Iran today. I have not conducted any contact with the American envoy Steve Witkoff during the past days, nor have we requested negotiations. It's not possible to speak about negotiations in an atmosphere of threats, and the United States must realize that. Iran's position is to pursue the diplomatic path because military threats will not avail. Whoever wishes to conduct negotiations must abandon threats and greed and stop raising illogical issues. Various parties are seeking to mediate, but negotiations cannot succeed while threats are ongoing. The countries in the region believe that military threats will lead to instability in the entire region. They're not even talking to you. They're not interested in talking to you while you're trying to threaten and play cowboy against Iran. Who do you think you are? But another significant statement came from none other than one of the senior advisors, one of the top advisors of the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Shamkhani. Ali Shamkhani posted this in multiple languages, including in Hebrew. We'll, of course, read the English one. A limited strike is an illusion. Any military action by US from any origin at any level will be considered the start of war. Okay, let's hold it there. A limited strike is an illusion. Therefore, he is confirming from the beginning we're not going to be accepting anything called a limited strike. Then any military action by the US from any origin, meaning, well, the United States might not necessarily initiate it, but they will consider the US. And listen to the end, will be considered as the start of a war. Start of a war, not an attack, not a strike. Not a strike that we will respond to, as in tit for tat, not a skirmish. And its response will be immediate, all out, and unprecedented, targeting the heart of Tel Aviv and all those supporting the aggressor. That's the closest person to the supreme leader, Khamenei, who makes the orders. He makes the orders. All out, unprecedented, targeting the heart of Tel Aviv. That's the only capital he mentioned in any response to an American aggression coming from any origin. Unprecedented, and anyone supporting the aggressor. They told every country next to them, if your countries are used to carry out an attack against us, all of the locations will be hit. That's why everyone is petrified now. Saudi Arabia is running to Abu Dhabi, UAE. Everyone is saying, no, it's not going to be used. It's not going to be used. It's not going to be used. When the time comes, of course, we'll see. But everyone is trying to say, well, nothing is going to be used, and please don't have an escalation. Please don't do this. Please don't do that. All right. What can Iran do? Okay. Let's remember what Iran did. Just before, the United States unilaterally declared ceasefire that Iran, by the way, did not necessarily officially accept. They only said that if attacks stop against us, we'll stop striking. And they had the final strike against the genocide state. That was very hard, by the way. I remember that missile. It caused such a big explosion in the southern of occupied Palestine, southern part of occupied Palestine. It was a huge explosion, and the Israeli nonsensical air defenses, they weren't even working, as they didn't even know what was happening. So let's rewind back to know what can happen now, because we learn from the past, we contextualize, we read, and we start to understand what may happen. Okay. Here is what happened 2 days before the ceasefire in the 12-day war. Iran moves to shut the Strait of Hormuz after US attacks. That's after the United States began participating, and Donald Trump was playing cowboy, and they targeted the nuclear facilities. But what happened here, by the way? Did they start shutting the Hormuz Strait? No. The only thing they've done with the Hormuz Strait, by the way, is they forced British army ships from going in. Of course, Britain is part of the genocide coalition. Zionists operate on behalf of Israel and the United States. They went to save Israel, the genocidal entity butchering children, from a perfectly legal embargo in the Red Sea, spending taxpayers' money for the sake of child-killing, blood-sucking monsters. Iran told them, get the hell out of here, and then they went out like dogs, like poodles. Nothing, no resistance, nothing whatsoever. They were petrified. But they didn't completely shut the Hormuz Strait. So what happened? The only thing is that the Iranian parliament backed a measure to close the critical shipping route in response to US airstrikes on nuclear sites in Iran. What does that mean? That means there are two more levels to this. The Iranian parliament, then the Iranian Majlis, the more supreme council, then the approval of the supreme leader. It's a process. Demand, approval, authorization, approval. When was that? June 22nd. When did the US declare a ceasefire? June 24th. Why? Because they know if Iran wants to shut down the Hormuz Strait, they'll shut the Hormuz Strait. Not for the love of shutting the Hormuz Strait or affecting the global economy or anything of the sort. but for the sake of defending themselves against these immoral, bloodthirsty monsters wreaking havoc and terror all across the world, in an attempt to deter more aggression against them. And the threat that time, it worked. The United States declared a ceasefire agreement. They said, Donald Trump was like playing wide boy, asking Iran to surrender and declaring a ceasefire. Did he or his Zionist masters achieve any objectives in that war? No. How? Well, Israel said, our aims are taking down the establishment, destroying Iran's nuclear capabilities, and destroying Iran's missile capabilities. Failed, ran to America, please come and save us with a strike. Donald Trump said, listen, I'll do this one thing, but I don't want to even get involved with these people. And then they went out. So now you might think, well, what is the purpose of them going back again to carry out another strike? Well, number one, because it's not about Donald Trump and the United States. It's about Israel primarily. Of course, there are other interests involved, interests to do with oil, interests to do with subjugation, and the international financial system. But first and foremost, it's creating the inevitable, after, if something like that happens, rise of the greater Israel. This is what they'll think. And Israel can then start bullying everyone else. And they're already saying, by the way, when Iran falls, we're going to show this to Saudi Arabia, and we're going to show Qatar, and we're coming for you, Turkey. And of course, many of these countries, because of their historical stupidity and ignorant leadership, they put themselves in a vulnerable position. Some of them are waking up slowly. Coalition here, coalition that, defense pact, getting out of the American Zionist shell slowly. It might be too late, but listen, let's hope it works for them. Let's do hope it actually works, because if it doesn't work, then they can say goodnight. And by the way, let's be completely transparent here. There are a lot of changes, though. Changes in the tone of some of the Arab countries that were historically tied with the US and on the brink of having these so-called Abraham Accords, as if any of these people have anything to do with anything prophetic or divine or angelic. If Satan had kids, if Satan had kids and the Zionists were his kids, he'd abandon them. Let alone, Prophet, what are you talking about? And some of these most depraved, despicable people, it comes out this new Zionist mouthpiece in the United States. I even forgot her name, she's so ugly. Against Islam and against the Haitians and against the Somalians and this and that. Children of Satan. And then she will tell you, in the name of Jesus. Jesus, do you have any connection with Jesus, peace be upon him? Stop fooling people around. I mean, I'd be surprised if anyone falls for this garbage. If you go and have a walk in the park and, ask someone walking a dog, not the person, but the dog himself, what do you think about Israel? He'll tell you, woof, woof, and F Israel and F that. Let alone human beings. But, clearly Israel is hopeful that they might change, some of people's minds. And Netanyahu is worried. He's saying, social media, alternative media is the front now, the eighth front. you're losing, Bibi, and you'll continue losing. Not that they won on the ground, by the way. 2 years into a full-blown genocide in Gaza, the resistance is still there, and they're talking about Iran. They had the audacity to start attacking them. Once they started to have missiles landing on their child-killing heads, they begged the United States to give them a rescue rope or a ladder to climb down, nicely on. So that's what Iran can do. They can shut down the Hormuz Strait. But there's one more scenario. And that scenario relates to Israel. And if Israel attacks Iran with the United States, or if Israel decides to somehow participate in any attack. Israel, without having too many locations being targeted during the 12-day war, started to beg the United States to get them out of the hell that they put themselves into. Iran didn't even begin yet. They were giving them teasers, as in, have a bit of a taste of this, have a bit of a taste of that. Appetizers, starters, light bites. They weren't serving dinner. They weren't serving the main course. And the Persian cuisine, you have many courses. That was just the beginning. What happens if Iran decides to deport everyone from Israel and collapse Israel within 24 hours? All it takes for Iran is to target the 5 main water locations that Israel relies on, because Israel relies primarily on these locations to have access to any water whatsoever. What do I mean by that? Well, Israel relies 80 to 85% of its drinking water on seawater desalination. There's no water in Israel, not a lot of water, 80 to 85%. They have 5 locations of seawater desalination. Where are they based? They are based in a couple of locations. They're based here. One of them is in Sorek, it's called, towards the north, Khedera, Palmachim, second one, Palmachim, another one, and Asqalan or Ashkelon. 5 of them. In charge of what? 85% of Israel's water. Can you live without water? Can't live without water. Can this country live without water? They were complaining because they were in hotels when they were expelled from the north, and they were telling their prime minister, no, we want better hotels, we want this, we want that. How can they operate like that? Well, they would not be able to operate. So what are they going to do exactly? Well, they're going to run away. They're not going to stay there. That's the straightforward answer. Israel has 5 of these locations. If Iran decides to go all out, and it looks like Israel is pushing them towards that direction, alongside the United States, Israel will tell them all of these places will be targeted. Ashkelon, Ashdod, Palmachim, Sorek, and Hadera. All of the desalination of Israel. So it's targeting Israel's strategic water supply. What is Israel going to do? And by the way, that's something very easy for Iran. As in 24 hours, they'll see the catastrophe. Within 10 minutes, game over. Why? It takes 7 minutes for some of the Iranian missiles, 7 to 12 minutes, depending on which one they decide to launch. If they decide to target these places, all it takes is just a couple of missiles on a single facility to wipe it off completely. And then no one has anything. That means they can deport several million within a couple of weeks. That's it, game over. Now, Iran didn't go that far the previous time. They targeted their military bases, the places where they launch their fighter jets to kill infants and children and women in Gaza and hospitals and bakeries, the genocide hubs of terror. They targeted those places. They targeted the strategic locations of command, the strategic locations where the decision-making takes place. Some important institution, a couple of important institutions in Israel, but they didn't go beyond, really. They targeted the chemical refineries, oil and chemical refineries in Haifa too. But they didn't go all out. That was just the beginning. As I was telling you, it was just a taster. It was one of the first dishes in the very big Persian cuisine. There's a very big cuisine. So, is Israel going to put itself forward? Israel is trying to take itself back. Israel's trying to say that we're not actually going to participate. They've been lobbying every American president for the past 4 decades. Attack Iran, attack Iran, attack Iran. Brainwash your people so that they can be stupid enough to think that Iran is the enemy. They can say, yes, bomb Iran, let's bomb Iran, they're the bad guys. For the sake of the Zionist state. And now they're accomplishing what they want in the form of the biggest servant, Donald Trump. Blackmailed, ordered, grabbed by the, assuming he has them. And yeah, they want to take themselves out of the picture. But the response of the top advisor of the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Shamkhani, came in the form of an answer. It came to tell them, even if you want to think that we don't know, then we're telling you from now, we know. And that limited strike of the United States is nothing but an illusion. That was a message for them and for Israel. A limited strike is an illusion. Any military action by the United States from any origin at any level will be considered the start of war. And its response will be immediate, all out, and unprecedented, targeting the heart of Tel Aviv and those supporting the aggressor. So in effect, they're telling the Israelis from now, if the United States attacks us and you don't participate, you're going to be attacked. Now, how can we judge what's going to be the level of that attack, by the way, against Israel? Well, Netanyahu is saying that if they dare attack us, they will see something that they have never seen before. They don't know where the attack is going to come from. And we're going to hit them so hard. And we will be doing this and we will be doing that. Iran knows what's at stake. And although in previous times they haven't gone to that level, this time they just may. They may open the ground for a ground invasion. And everything will turn literally within days. Don't be surprised if that attack happens and you have a ground invasion at one point to liberate Palestine, to take down the Zionist regime. And it can be from multiple places, by the way. Don't think it's only that front or these, but no. It will come from where people did not expect. And any attack coming from Iran will be the initial move that will pave the way for that to happen. How? Well, there were invasions of individuals for Israel. Yeah. Had it not been for the countries surrounding Israel protecting its borders, it would have been game over. But when we see a collapse from within and lack of capability from Netanyahu and his regime to do anything to counter the Iranian attack, there's going to be an immediate vacuum. And that immediate vacuum has to be filled. And it will be filled, potentially with support from outside of Palestine too. Because of course, the Palestinian people, they've been telling you about international support and rebuilding. And you know what? The Palestinian people want to be left alone. Just leave them alone. Gaza, if they were allowed to get the things that they want to, they will remove the rubble, they will rebuild, they will do everything. Thank you very much. It's just that the neo-colonialists, the supremacists, tell you that so that they can capitalize on the rebuilding, which is a typical historical trait. They finance the war, they finance the destruction, they finance the militaristic oligarchic aggressor, the grand master of terrorists, and then they finance the rebuilding and raise money for the rebuilding. That's what they do. And that's what they want to do or are hoping to do in Gaza, saying that they want to do in Gaza. Although, again, Netanyahu is saying that, there's not going to be a phase 2 of rebuilding. There's going to be a phase 2 of disarmament. Dude, you sent all of your army there, all of your genocide child killers who were posting images of themselves on TikTok wearing underwear. Do you want to go and target the Palestinian resistance of these people or find arms in the tunnels? When your depraved diaper army is wearing women's underwear and boasting about it on TikTok and stealing children's bicycles and boasting about it and acting cool, maybe that's why they went for the purchase of TikTok. So they can post more images, of them wearing women's underwear. And apart from, of course, the Palestinian thing. So these are all indications and preparations and warnings and measures to prevent, measures to apply pressure from the United States, from Iran to deter an aggression. And there are activities on the ground. There are many drones coming from Iran monitoring every single move coming from the United States in the sea, in the land, and in the air. They're monitoring every single thing, and under the sea too. Iran is monitoring every single thing. And again, the spying activity of the United States has been intensified, intensified to a level where, like some of the previous moves that they've conducted before Israel's attack in June 2025, they're doing it again now. We've been speaking about some of the spy planes that the United States is sending, and now they're sending even more of them to monitor every single move coming from Iran. What did they deploy? What did they not deploy? They're trying to alert them as well, or alarm them, so they can have certain deployments that they can see, and then they can monitor again. And where do we expect, and what do we expect, and at what time, and how fast, and what will happen exactly. They're trying to do all of that. And Trump is claiming, again, that he wants to have this solution with Iran, that he hopes that they will come to the table. I'll come next to your door and threaten to kill you and destroy your house and come to the table. That's the come to the table version of Donald Trump. To come to the table when he's threatening all of them with total destruction. And of course, counter moves coming from the Iranians. And all of the tensions are still there. And these were the main things that I wanted to speak to you about in this live stream. I hope I clarified, some of the recent developments that happened, at least in the past 24 hours, trying to take bits and information from multiple parties to get a better understanding and a better picture. Because, Lord knows, of course, the propaganda and the mainstream media and what have you, that's like not bringing anything whatsoever. Just the Zionist narrative, and they're still talking about certain moves happening in Iran. Things finished like weeks back. Having certain criteria of what to say and what not to say. And in the meantime, of course, the truth gets lost, gets battered. And really and truly, it's very important to know what's happening on the ground. Because they want to target a country on behalf of a foreign country that is still committing a genocide and targeting other countries on a regular basis. That's the moral of the story here. Let alone that the United States establishment on its own, by the way, even if we put Israel aside, wars 24/7. Wars in Latin America, wars in Europe, in Africa, in the Middle East, in West, East, South Asia, everywhere. And now they just might play the role that Israel wanted from them for a very, very long time. And the more time goes by, the closer we get to that point. We'll wrap it up here, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in for another live stream, and everyone who participated in the chat, everyone who sent supers. Thank you to Glenn Huxley, Redneck Catholic, God is my shepherd, Tiberius Rex. Thank you all for your supers, much appreciated, and everyone who participated in the chat. In the next few days, we'll hopefully have more of the videos for you, and perhaps another live stream or collab towards the weekend as well. So stay tuned. Sometimes you might not get notified on the channel. So make sure you actually go and visit the channel, because some of you tell me, oh, where are you? I haven't been hearing. Some things happen mysteriously. Lord knows why. I might not come up on the feed. So check the channel itself. And in my description, you'll find links to NewsV Pro, our online store as well, and all of the other links to follow me on other platforms as well. In the meantime, everyone, again, thank you very much. Stay blessed, take care, and I will see you soon in the next video. Peace, everyone. Salam.